Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the UDS webinar. Today we're going to be, the title of our webinar is Got Skills, and it's really going to be kind of about self-evaluation today and talking about the skills that we use in F&I. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today. So we're going to be kind of looking at, self-evaluation of our skills, our knowledge, taking some of the experience that we have, taking into consideration our results and evaluating where we are in our career, where we are in our ability. And the whole point and purpose of it is to try to find areas for improvement and doing this a little bit on our own. Although a lot of you have been through some sort of training here at UDS, traditionally in the dealership environment, F&I people probably receive less training than just about anybody nationwide. If we're going to get better at what we do, we have to be good at evaluating our performance, being objective at evaluating ourselves, taking our knowledge and increasing our knowledge, and then taking our experience and putting that into practice to get a little bit better at what we do. So we were joking around a little bit, and if you read the description of we talked about becoming an FOI Ninja, and so the theme is going to go that way. So try to have a little fun of it with it. But an FOI Ninja must be a person who has vision, who's dynamic, highly trained, and a skilled sales professional, who's informed, ambitious, focused, confident, enthusiastic, courageous, persistent, and spirited, competitive, determined, a detail-oriented administrator, a teacher, and a trainer. And these are just a few of the characteristics that define this warrior. This individual must be flexible and willing to work all day and sometimes late into the night under great pressure while appearing eager, willing, and supportive. The person must be a leader and a valued team member. This individual whose work habits, integrity, and ethics are respected by not only the customers, but by coworkers, employers, and all parties associated with the F&I department. And an F&I Ninja must accomplish these things without missing a beat of business rhythm, be always ready to go with a great attitude and energy. He or she must protect the dealership through compliance, knowledge, and situational awareness. And this person must be an advocate for all departments in the dealership and always be willing to go the extra mile. We use this at the beginning of every F&I school that we have, our 5-day certification. We've used it through our boot camps and to describe what it's like to be the consummate F&I professional. If you could write down on paper what you would want in your F&I person, this would be it. And I ask everybody, where you come up a little short on that. If you're looking at those characteristics, which ones stick out to you as, hey, that's something that I need to work on? I can tell you that most people talk about the, when asked that, talk about appearing eager and willing and supportive. And it always comes up that you're supposed to leave at 7 o'clock and it's 9:45, and your sales manager comes up and says, here, I got a cash deal for you. This guy's a jerk. See what you can do. I'm leaving. And it's kind of hard to be eager and willing and ready to go in those kind of situations. And that usually comes up. But it gives us a reference. It gives us something to compare to, and that's what we're doing today. So, skills outside of the menu presentation that we need in F&I. Let's take them from the previous slide. We want the person to be ambitious, focused, confident, enthusiastic, courageous, persistent, competitive, determined, and detail-oriented. And really, when you look at that list, those things aren't trainable. I mean, I don't know of a course that teaches ambition. Either you have it or you don't. Oh, by the way, I had two UDS associates that just joined me. I have Spiro and Paul here today.
Good afternoon. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you all here.
I was just on a roll, too. Hopefully they...
John, I'm glad you kept it to the short list today. Nothing too lengthy.
But, it's hard to train confidence. Confidence comes from experience and credibility. Persistence. Those are the kind of things that you either kind of have or you don't have. Imagine we can teach people to be a little more detail-oriented, but, there are a lot of people that have a natural disposition to detail. Skilled sales professional, informed, knowledgeable, administrator, excellent listener, time prioritization, teacher, trainer. you know, those are things that we can teach. Those are things that are trainable. We've talked about it before, but I see it all the time, certainly in sales and sometimes in F&I, where somebody takes maybe 2 years or 3 years of experience and applies it to a 20-year career. And they kind of plateau and they just don't grow. I had a person recently in one of the F&I classes, and he was struggling with the fact that he was even there. And he said, I really don't know what I'm going to learn in this class. He said, my numbers are pretty good. And, you know, actually I'm usually at the top, you know, in the top at least 5 in my group. So I don't know why I have to go and do this. My numbers are pretty good. And I said, well, could they be better? You know, if you're in the top 5, that doesn't mean you're always the top 1. And if you're the top 1, compare yourself to somebody outside of your group. You know, where's the maximum production for you? Where does your skill level, you know, take you? And then I did a little exercise, and we went back over a year and looked at the numbers month by month. And he was consistent, but he wasn't growing. The trajectory was flat. So the person was very consistent in their production, but they weren't going up, and they were staying pretty sane.
So you're either growing or you're dying.
Well, could be. You know, do we stay informed? You know, if we do, we know things that are happening. You know, regulation happens. I send out bulletins all the time, and part of my responsibility in my job is to try to keep an eye on those kind of things so that I can share them with you. So, you know, information is important, knowledgeable. You know, what comes to mind when we talk about knowledge is product knowledge. It does surprise me sometimes when F&I people don't know their product as well as they should. We have people here at UDS that answer product questions every day. You know, and all day. You know, where people are calling in and asking, and that's great because you know, that means once I've asked a question like that, that means I usually know it and I don't have to ask it again. Well,
most of the time.
Most of the time, and we have a lot of information on the portal, especially when it comes to products. But you know, do you spend time just learning as much as you can about product to understand it? I'm in the middle of a 5-day certification course. We're breaking for lunch today, and we were talking earlier about benefits, product benefits, and one of the things I asked them to do is give me 15 benefits on a VSC. Not features, but benefits. And they struggled. You know, they got to about 6 or 7, and they were struggling after that. And we talked about the fact that when we're working with customers, you know, it's easy to talk about features, but when we can relate the benefits to the customer's needs, that's when it gets really good in F&I. You know, administrator, we've got a lot of paperwork and a lot of things to do. We talk about listening. You know, and this is an important one. You know, do we listen to understand, or in F&I are we listening to respond? Most of the time in sales, we listen to respond. We're waiting for the customer to finish talking so we can say what we're going to say, and we miss things. And that's something that we can work on. Time prioritization. We talk about it all the time. You know, what's important, what's urgent, understanding the difference. You know, we tend to have a present bias in F&I, and we deal with what's coming at us right now. And it may not be something that we need to deal with right now, but we do it because, okay, it's off my list and I can move on to the next thing. But is it really important? Is it something that's helping me further my goals, help me in F&I? And then teacher and trainer. You know, these are trainable, and we can learn that. I always encourage F&I people to participate in sales meetings, not just show up, but, you know, have a piece of it. Talk about a product. Tell the salespeople about the benefits, features, and benefits of the products that you sell. And then, you know, you got to be a teacher sometimes too. We can bitch and complain about people bringing us deals that are a mess, and, you know, we have that one guy that sells a lot of cars, but his paperwork's terrible, and we complain about it. But how often do we sit there and teach them how to do it the right way and explain to them what happens and what the benefit is for him if they or her if they get the paperwork better? Anything you guys have to add, or are you just going to kind of sit there all day?
I'll just sit here all day.
Okay, good.
But the left side, I look at the left side as sparks. Those are things that with the right side we can fan into flames, which make great managers. And those sparks are hard to initiate. The training things, once you take those things, you can fan those into big flames and get big results. And if you have a lot of those sparks on the left, you can hone your skills with the things on the right and get to be a great manager and great income producer for yourself, your family, the dealership, and move up in the organization. Those are the things that, when they're coupled together, really make a manager an excellent manager and an excellent person that is a guide for the dealership to grow and become better. And that's what frankly, that's what we look for people when most of our dealers and dealer groups ask us to interview, is what I'm trying to say, their staff before they hire them, to make sure that we can look at those things and see those sparks, so we know that that person is going to be a long-term great player for the dealership once we get the trainable things in line. And I know, Spiro, you had something too, didn't you?
No, you just said it as well as I could. So, I just put F&I managers. We are on the spot precision closers.
Well, that's a good point. You're on the spot all the time. I like the precision. Precision comes from knowing the situation and understanding and listening. So that's great. And the list of trainable is a great place to kind of look at that list and say, where on that list is something that I could spend some time on to get better. And let's talk about that for a second. F&I stealth. We know ninjas are stealthy, right? You never see them coming. They just, they're there. And, so as an F&I person, if you don't want people to see you coming, if you don't want to, it to look like it's forced, it looks, those types of things, we got to be good at being conversational in the interview.
It needs to be natural.
Yeah, it needs to be natural. We need to be able to listen to understand, like I just said. We've got to be good at discovering needs versus just, in our interview, asking, how many miles do you drive, how long do you keep a car, do you, those types of things. We've got to learn a little bit more as we're going through it. We have to be a little more consultative in the way we present products and the way we discover needs. Once we become consultative, good things really start to happen. And we talk about that in our school and in some of the boot camps about how visualization usually we're sitting across from the customer, and when we move around the table and we're sitting next to them talking and presenting products and talking about needs, it changes completely. Product knowledge. Got to know what you're talking about. There's no reason not to understand the product and be able to answer every question the customer may ask about product, and be definitive and know that you're giving them the right answer. Rapport. We were talking earlier today about rapport and credibility, and which would you rather have, rapport or credibility? And it was funny because what the consensus is I'd rather have credibility. If I had to pick, I'd rather have credibility. Rapport is great, and I love it when I have it, but I can overcome a lack of rapport if I have credibility and I'm prepared.
If you have credibility, rapport can come after that, and if one of your missions is to get your customer that's in front of you comfortable, because if they're comfortable and you're comfortable, your dialogue is going to be very easy, and it's going to be they're going to be buying into what you have to say. If they're anxious, the probability of you being successful with your presentation is pretty minimal. So getting that rapport built, but having them comfortable because of your credibility. If you know what you're talking about, people are going to be confident in what you're saying, what you're telling them.
So true. I agree. No question about that. Spiro, let me ask you a question. When you have rapport and credibility, what does that equal?
Trust.
It sure does. We put those two things together, and it's trust. And when you have the customer's trust, it's nothing better. I know as F&I people, we love it when the customer says to us, "What do you think I should do?"
Oh, I love it. I love it. I have an F&I manager that works at one of our local dealerships, and she went into a new store and she started doing a very good job. And she said she was amazed at how many people turned to her and asked, "Which ones do you recommend that I get? Which one should I get?" And she said, she has a tendency to say, like we all would, well, just buy the left side, right? But she'll explain each one to them and say this one maybe not be as much for you, and they really just follow her lead and buy what she asks them to enroll in.
All right, let's keep moving. Oh, there we go. How much time do you spend developing your skills? You know, football season's starting, and I'm really excited about it because I'm a big fan. And everybody's in training camp right now, right? And I tell you, you know, you've probably heard me say this before. I guess that comes with age. But what do professional athletes spend all their time doing? You know, they're the best in the world at what they do. You know, Michael Jordan, best basketball player, arguably. Some will, you know, you got your LeBron camp and your Jordan camp, but those two guys are pretty good at basketball. But what do they spend all their time doing? Training, practicing, working on their skills.
Golfers.
You know, same with golfers, absolutely. So what are some of the things we can do to develop our skills? One is kind of look at the numbers, you know, take a look at our analytics. How are we doing compared to the group? How are we doing compared to what we did same time last year, last month? What's our 90-day rolling average in these categories? You know, and really look at the numbers and look for areas where we could get a little better. The good news is if we get better, what happens to our pay?
And we at UDS try to do that on a monthly basis with you all, and we can take advantage of it. And it really isn't a report card, it's an opportunity card. It really shows what opportunities we have where we can improve, and we can work together to help you improve, and it helps you then make more money for yourself personally and for your family.
You know, we've got to find time for it. That's the tough part about this, is that in F&I, you know, we always joke around and say that you don't have any free time. There's always something you can be doing in F&I. And you know, a lot has been talked about time management, and I'm one of the people that thinks that you cannot manage time. Time just keeps rolling no matter what you do, but you can prioritize the things that you're doing. And I think that's important. And, you know, can we get better at prioritization? Can we prioritize working on ourselves a little bit, getting a little better at what we do? Video assessment. It's fun watching the videos. And when we pull out the video in class, some people are fine, some people aren't. But at the end of the day, video is a great teacher. Like numbers, it doesn't lie. It tells a story. And you know, with the technology we have, the iPhones and iPads, it's easy to video your presentation. Do it. Take a look at yourself. See what you're doing. Look at those traits, those habits that you've developed, good ones and bad ones. They'll come out in the video. You're going to be a more harsh critic of yourself than I ever could be, or Spiro or Paul. And, you know, adjust. Do it once in a while.
Just like looking in the mirror in the morning and saying, man, I really need to shave, and how much better you look afterward. You know, you really can tell that reflection before and after really gives you a great perspective on how much you've accomplished.
You know, I've got role play on the list, and I know it's like, come on, John, seriously, I'm not going to take any time out during my day to role play. First of all, who am I going to get to role play with? Well, when you think about what we do, you really don't need a real active partner. You just need somebody to kind of play off of. But it's something that even if, you know, if you're doing it with one of your kids or your wife or somebody, you know, it doesn't matter. It's just the fact that you're going through it, you're going through the process, you're being checked. You know, want to make sure that you have your scripts down, those types of things.
Repetition, right?
Well, practice makes permanent, and that's what we're trying to do.
You have people in your department, use them. You work off each other. We're here, you know, it's not an isolated situation where you have 2 or 3 members of a F&I department that have to act independently. If you act as a team, you all get better.
We talked about product knowledge, so I won't spend a lot of time there, but you know, take advantage of the partner portal. Get in there, and everything you want to know about product is there. You know, sit down and try to write out benefits for the products that you sell. If you're doing terrible on key, or you're doing not so well on VSC as you'd like, sit down and start writing out the benefits. The more benefits you can list, and watch what happens when you're able to really understand the benefits of the product, you'll be able to sell it better. The other thing that I always look at is, you know, when you look at the numbers and you'll see somebody that just kills a product. They're you know, 15 points above everybody else. And okay, well, why is that? they believe in the product. They love it. I had somebody recently talk about diamond finish, and he said, I never really cared about it. I thought it was kind of a scam. Then I put it on my car, and now I sell it to everybody.
You have to believe. That's a great point. You have to believe in the products you're offering your clients, and if you don't believe them, get with your regional manager and do some role play, do some conversation about that product, and get to where you're really confident and comfortable that's going to take care of it. Because we have great products to offer in this day and age, much better than we had 15 or 20 years ago. So you can be confident they're going to take care of your client.
Now, I'm not going to ask for a hands up on this one, but if the customer asks you, do you have these products on your car, can you honestly answer yes?
Hell yeah.
Well,
give me a hell yeah.
Yeah. Market research. What are you talking about? Well, you have competition, and I'm not talking about the dealer down the street. I'm talking about a lot of people, insurance companies, outside third parties are marketing to your customers the products that you're trying to sell. And they're doing it after they've already bought them from you. And they're telling those customers that, you know what, I can give it to you cheaper, go ahead and cancel that, I finance the purchase for you. They're marketing hard. So find out where your competition is out there. Learn a little bit about what's going on out there with your competitors and how they're going about doing what they're doing. It's all there on the internet. You can find out everything you want to know by looking it up. Oh, and by the way, if you were to go on the internet and you were to Google service contract, vehicle service contract for my whatever brand you sell, does your name come up? Chances are it doesn't. And that's something that if I was a F&I person, I'd be talking to my marketing manager about is how do we get us to come up on these searches so when it comes up, it's John Tabor Motors shows
Absolutely.
up.
The system optimization is really critical for you to pop up during those searches. And I'll tell you what, if Rachel Robocall calls me again about a warranty for my car, I think I'm going to reach through the phone and through the phone and throttle her. But they're calling every single day. They robocall your customers, and some of them buy.
What book are you reading? Do you read a book on self-improvement? John, I don't have time to read. I'm dead tired when I get home. Well, I got into a habit a little while, not too long ago, is on the way to work, I listen to an audio book. And it's usually a business book or a self-improvement book. And on the way home, I listen to the NFL channel. But that 30-minute drive in the morning, I'm listening to something that's going to help me in business, it's going to help me motivate me, inspire me, something like that.
That's great time management, too. When we have those sectors of time and whether, between deals, maybe in your office, I've come into some people's offices and they do have motivational or informational, especially, things playing on their computer. And so they're constantly trying to improve things. Use that dead time to your advantage, and it's not dead time anymore. It's managed time.
The other thing is listening to a book when you're driving in the morning is like road rage Prozac. It mellows you out, and you don't seem to get as upset about some of the stupid things that people do on the road when you're in that mode. Just a little tip.
And you don't have to use their
articles. If I see anything that I try to collect articles. I read. Certainly, I read F&I Dealer. I read Automotive News. I'm reading, things that apply to what we do. And there's always really good information out there that an article may take 5 minutes or 3 minutes to read, but there's something that I read in there that I go, oh boy, I like that. I'm going to keep that and use that. A nugget. So those are some of the things we can do. And, we want to, the other thing is, best way to learn something is to teach it. And what I'm challenging you to do is spend 15 to 30 minutes a day on you, getting better at being you. Whether it's on the way to work, on the way home, at lunch, 15 minutes, just 15 minutes a day. I read an article on becoming an expert that somebody who studies one topic 30 minutes a day, within 18 months, they're a world expert on that topic. If it's just one subject, I'm not talking about physics, but if I were to study one thing, 30 minutes a day for 18 months, I'm right there in the world on knowing of that topic. So
A lot of you have to ask yourself, am I in F&I long term, or do I want to move up in the dealership? And if you want to move up in the dealership, take some of that time to make yourself better for that next position so you're the obvious choice. Otherwise, they're going to choose somebody else. So make yourself the prime candidate. And you can do that by just spending a little bit of time every day.
Okay. Oh. The other thing is, you know, if we do this, there's no app that we can, you know, download and all this information comes to us. I can't say to the customer, excuse me, Mr. Customer, let me look up that objection real quick. Oh, it says right here that I'm supposed to ask that, say this. You know, we can't do it that way. It'd be nice if we could, but we just can't. So that being said, quick review. You know, some of the things that we can do outside of F&I, the outside of the menu presentation that are trainable, you know, our sales skills, how informed we are, our product knowledge, our administrative skills, how do we listen, how we prioritize our time, and are we a good teacher or a trainer? You know, and some of those things that make us really good in the customer's mind, that they don't know why they think they like us so much, and they don't, you know, but are we being conversational? Certainly being a good listener, being able to understand and sell based on the customer's needs, where we're more consultative in our approach. We have strong product knowledge. We're able to build rapport with our customers. We're prepared, and we have some credibility. So I always ask this just for fun. Does anybody have any questions?